Picture this.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is Sunday. You're settling in on your couch, maybe adjusting the volume on your TV.
Right, getting everything ready.
Exactly. Getting ready because you are about to witness a truly monumental moment in sports history.
Oh, absolutely.
At 39 years old, Lionel Messi is going to walk out of a tunnel to play his final World Cup match.
It is the definitive end of an era.
It really is. But before you watch that game, we need to take a deep dive into something much, much bigger than just, what happens on the pitch.
Yeah, the stuff behind the scenes.
Right. We're looking at a really fascinating breakdown from a YouTube channel called The Football Narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, it's a video titled, Why Teammates Still Cry When They Speak About Lionel Messi.
It's a great video, really powerful.
It is. And I want to be clear right up front, our mission for this deep dive today is not about dissecting soccer stats.
Right. No pass completion rates here.
No tactical formations either. If you're looking for, a chalkboard breakdown of a 4-3-3, this isn't it.
Yeah, because if you only look at the stats or the tactics, you completely miss the actual driving force of this entire story.
Exactly.
To understand the current, incredibly raw emotional state of this Argentine team as they head into Sunday's final, we really have to look backward.
We do. We have to go way back.
Right. Today we're exploring the psychology of extreme pressure. We are looking at a very unique brand of generational loyalty.
Yeah, it's wild to see.
And we're examining how this team was forged through a profound sense of shared trauma. Because ultimately what you'll see on the field tomorrow is a team trying to repay this massive 20-year emotional debt.
A 20-year debt. And to really grasp the magnitude of that debt, we have to completely dismantle this casual assumption that Messi's path was just some preordained coronation.
Oh, yeah. People think it was just easy for him.
Right. Because if you only started paying attention in, say, 2022 when he lifted the World Cup in Qatar, it's remarkably easy to look at him and think, oh, of course, it's Messi. He's a genius. He always wins.
But that's just not true.
No, it's not true. Okay, let's unpack this because the timeline of what he actually endured to get to that podium in Qatar is just brutal.
It really is a gauntlet.
We're talking about nearly 2 decades and 4 devastatingly lost finals before he ever tasted that kind of international glory. Like I said, it wasn't a coronation. It was a psychological gauntlet.
It really was. And to understand the emotional armor that his current teammates wear for him now, we have to look at how that pressure compounded over time.
Right, it just built up.
Exactly. The failures didn't just happen in a vacuum. They escalated in their cruelty. I mean, if we look at his first major final with Argentina at the 2007 Copa America, he's just 20 years old.
Just a kid, really.
Just a kid. He's carrying the hopes of his entire country as this once-in-a-generation prodigy, and they're completely dismantled by Brazil.
Losing 3-0.
Right, 3-0. And at 20, you still have that youthful resilience, but he had to stand there in the middle of the field and watch a bitter rival celebrate.
But the narrative around him hadn't really soured yet, right? He was still the golden kid.
Yeah, exactly. He had leeway.
It's what happens next that starts to really twist the knife.
Oh, completely. The innocence just vanishes by the 2010 World Cup.
It's 23 at this point.
Right, 23, and officially recognized as the best player on the planet at his club, Barcelona. He is winning literally everything in Europe.
But in the national team shirt.
Total opposite.
Yeah.
Germany takes Argentina apart 4-0, and he goes home without scoring a single goal in the whole tournament.
Wow, 0 goals.
0. And this is where we see a severe psychological shift in how his own country views him. The narrative instantly morphs. Well, he goes from being the golden child to being labeled as a player who shrinks under the weight of the Argentine shirt when it matters most.
Which is such a heavy accusation in a country where football is practically a religion.
Oh, it's devastating.
And that brings us to the failure that seemed to permanently scar him, which is the 2014 World Cup final.
Yes, back against Germany again. And he is minutes away from securing the one thing he has ever truly wanted, playing at the absolute peak of his physical prime.
And then Mario Götze scores.
Yep. Götze scores for Germany in extra time, and the dream just vanishes. And there is this haunting footage from the aftermath that the video points out.
Oh, I remember this, when he went up to get the medal.
Exactly. When Messi went up to collect his runner-up medal, he had to walk right past the World Cup trophy.
Oof.
He was close enough to reach out and touch the gold, but he couldn't even bring himself to look at it. The tournament organizers handed him the golden ball for being the best individual player of the tournament.
And the source material notes he held it like it burned his hands.
Like it literally burned him.
That is such a potent image.
Yeah.
I mean, to be individually validated as the absolute best on the planet, but to feel like a total failure in the only arena that actually matters to you.
It's an agonizing paradox.
And just when you think the pressure can't get any heavier, you get the back-to-back Copa America finals.
In 2015 and 2016.
Right. Both against Chile. Both go all the way to penalty shootouts. And both end in Argentina losing.
It's crushing.
But 2016 is the actual breaking point, isn't it?
It is. Messi steps up to take his penalty, and keep in mind, this is a man who is known for absolute precision.
Right, he doesn't miss.
But he skies it over the bar. He completely misses.
Man.
And standing on that field, now 29 years old, with 4 consecutive lost finals hanging around his neck, he just breaks.
He quits, right.
Yes, still wearing his kit, standing on the grass through tears. He publicly quits the national team. He tells the press he's done.
It's hard to even imagine. And the reaction from the Argentine public at that specific moment, it's crucial to understand if we want to comprehend the psychology of today's team.
It really is the turning point.
Because when he quit, the dominant reaction wasn't sympathy, was it?
Not at all. They called him cold.
Cold. Wow.
Yeah, they said he didn't, feel the shirt. They constantly compared him to Diego Maradona, claiming Messi lacked that fiery combative soul required to lead Argentina.
So they just piled it all on him.
They effectively took every single systemic failure, every defensive error, and every missed tactic of the past decade and hung it solely around his neck.
Thinking about how a whole country processes that kind of disappointment, it makes me think of an analogy.
Okay, let's hear it.
Imagine Messi in 2016 as this solitary load-bearing pillar in the middle of a massive, poorly constructed skyscraper.
Okay, I can picture that.
Right. So when the weather is perfect and the sun is shining, everyone in the building is praising the view, having a great time, giving that pillar all the credit for keeping them elevated.
Sure, when things are good.
But the second a storm hits and the foundation shakes, everyone ignores the shoddy foundation. They ignore the broken windows. They just point at that single pillar and blame it for the cracks in the ceiling.
That's entirely what happened.
It's an impossible expectation. It's just so much easier for a fan base to blame a single genius than to admit the whole system is flawed.
That is a perfect way to visualize the mechanism of scapegoating at play here. It highlights the absolute paradox of Messi's existence in Argentina at that time.
Right, the paradox.
He was treated like a deity, but in the most punishing, demanding way possible. He was simultaneously the god they prayed to for salvation on the pitch and the designated scapegoat they sacrificed when their prayers weren't answered.
Man, that is heavy. So if we look at the timeline, you have this load-bearing killer that finally collapses under the weight in 2016. He quits. The national team is in absolute crisis.
A total meltdown.
So who steps in to fix it? Because in modern sports, you'd expect, a high-priced PR team or a seasoned sports psychologist or maybe a legendary former coach to intervene.
You would think so.
But according to the source material, it was none of those. It was a heartbroken teenager.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is the sheer improbability of the intervention. It came from a 15-year-old kid sitting at a computer.
But 15.
Right. In the immediate aftermath of that 2016 resignation, a teenager in an Argentine youth academy wrote a desperate, public open letter to his hero on social media.
Wow.
He didn't have a platform. He didn't expect anyone to actually read it, but he wrote it anyway. And the core of the letter was an apology.
An apology from a kid?
Yes. He apologized on behalf of the entire country for the impossible crushing weight they had piled on one man's shoulders.
And the specific language he used in that letter is incredible. He didn't beg Messi to come back and win them a trophy.
No, not at all.
He literally begged Messi to just play for fun.
Play for fun.
Because, as this 15-year-old reasoned, when Messi has fun, the whole country has fun. He recognized that the joy had been entirely stripped from the game for his idol.
Exactly.
And he signed this letter. Thank you and forgive us.
Forgive us. Just think about the emotional maturity of a 15-year-old recognizing a collective cultural guilt like that.
It's astounding.
And that kid was Enzo Fernandez. At the time, he was just an unknown academy player, a kid who might never even make it to the professional level, let alone the national team. He was literally writing to the poster on his bedroom wall.
And then?
Now, flash forward 6 years to the 2022 World Cup in Qatar.
Here we go.
That same kid, Enzo Fernandez, is standing right next to Lionel Messi on the podium, lifting the World Cup, having just been named the best young player of the tournament.
It's an unbelievable narrative arc. I mean, Enzo was asked about that letter recently, right?
Yeah, he was.
And his response was incredibly telling. He laughed about being so young and dramatic, but then he noted that if he were to write that letter to Messi today, one page wouldn't be enough.
Right.
He said he'd need books to explain what Messi means to them.
Books. And the thing is, it's not just Enzo.
No, it's the whole squad.
You look at the core of this current roster, guys like Christian Romero, Julian Alvarez, Lautaro Martinez. They all grew up in that same window. They were literally copying Messi's free kicks in the street with their friends.
And then there's Rodrigo de Paul.
Oh, de Paul. Yeah, whose behavior on the pitch is entirely unique. He operates on a completely different psychological wavelength regarding Messi.
He acts like a self-appointed unpaid bodyguard.
He really does.
I mean, before every single match, he walks out by Messi's right shoulder. If you watch them enter the pitch, de Paul is always half a step behind, constantly scanning the environment.
Just waiting for trouble.
Yeah. He intercepts opposing players who try to talk to Messi. He starts fights if anyone fouls him too hard.
It's fierce loyalty.
But honestly, I have to push back on this a bit.
Okay, go for it.
I mean, is this actually a healthy dynamic for a professional sports team? To literally idolize your captain to this degree?
That's a fair question.
Usually in elite sports, you want peers in a locker room, not fans. Doesn't treating your teammate like the literal poster from your childhood bedroom create this bizarre power dynamic that could completely ruin team chemistry?
You think so, yeah.
I would think it breeds hesitation. Like, a young player might pass the ball to Messi even when they have a better shot themselves, just out of sheer reverence.
It's a very sharp observation, and honestly, in almost any other context, you would be absolutely right.
Really?
Yeah. Having a locker room full of fans subjugating their own egos to serve a superstar usually destroys team cohesion. It breeds resentment from older players, anxiety among the younger ones.
Right, a massive diffusion of responsibility.
Exactly. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, we can see exactly how Messi actively dismantled that dangerous power dynamic.
Okay.
And the crucial detail is that he didn't do it during a moment of triumph. He shattered that dynamic during the absolute lowest moment of collective defeat.
Okay, that is fascinating. What exactly happened to flip that script?
We have to look at July 3, 2019, Belo Horizonte, Brazil.
Okay, setting the scene.
Argentina has just lost the Copa America semifinal to the host nation Brazil 2-0.
Another heartbreak.
Another tournament gone. Another summer where Messi is flying home empty-handed, fully expecting the Argentine media to just hang the blame around his neck again.
Right, because the narrative hasn't totally shifted yet.
Exactly. The cultural context of this time is that the public narrative is still dominated by the cold myth.
Right.
People are still saying he's distant, a genius without the fire to lead. Even Diego Maradona had recently gone on television and stated that Messi simply didn't have the personality to be a captain.
Right, because in Argentine football culture, they value that garra, right, that fire, that visible combative passion. And Messi was always seen as too quiet, too European in his demeanor.
Precisely. But the private reality behind the closed doors of that losing locker room in 2019 was entirely different.
What happened?
Angel Di Maria, one of the few veterans in the room at the time, recently revealed what actually went down.
Oh, wow.
In most locker rooms, the captain, who is about to be publicly blamed for a massive failure, goes into self-preservation mode.
Sure, they get defensive.
They keep their head down, they protect their own ego, or they lash out at the mistakes of the younger players.
Naturally.
But Messi stood up in the middle of this silent, devastated room.
Okay.
He looked around at these young, frightened players, many of whom had just been called up for their first major tournament and barely even knew each other, and he didn't criticize a single one of them.
So what did he say? How do you address a room full of kids who think they just ruined your last chance at a trophy?
He told them he was proud of the team they had built.
Wow.
He said that despite the loss, they had all pulled in the exact same direction from day one. And then he looked right at those young kids, those former fans, and told them they had earned that shirt.
He validated them.
He validated them as his peers. He told them they deserved to be exactly where they were, sitting next to him.
That's incredibly powerful.
Di Maria said that by the time Messi stopped speaking, everyone in the room was crying, especially the younger players.
That completely rewrites how we understand team dynamics.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the psychological impact of that moment.
It's massive.
You are a young player, terrified you just blew it for the living legend you grew up worshiping. You expect him to be angry, or at least distant.
Right.
And instead of letting you take the fall, he stands in the ruins of his own failure, refuses to protect his own ego, and chooses to lift you up instead.
Exactly.
By doing that, he transferred his pain onto them. It's as if they decided right then and there in that locker room that they would never, ever watch him suffer alone again.
That is exactly the mechanism of trauma bonding at play here. Once a leader does that for you, once they willingly absorb the blame to shield you on your absolute worst night, you are fundamentally changed as a teammate.
Absolutely.
His pain literally became their pain. The weight he had carried for 15 years became theirs to carry, which explains the fierce, almost irrational tactical loyalty we see from them today.
It's not about passing to the star out of fear.
No, it's about fighting for a brother out of profound gratitude.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because we are watching this exact psychological shift deploy in real time, right now, across the 2024 and ongoing 2026 campaigns.
The current stuff is just incredible to watch.
The tactical and emotional anomalies are stunning. Let's look at the 2024 Copa America final just this past July against Colombia.
Right.
Messi suffers a freak non-contact ankle injury in the 66th minute. He tries to play through it, but his body just betrays him.
It was tough to watch.
He pulls off the captain's armband, hands it to Di Maria, and limps to the bench. And he just breaks down. He is absolutely sobbing into his hands, completely inconsolable.
Now consider how a team normally reacts in a final when their star player, their tactical focal point, goes down injured like that.
They usually deflate.
They drop into a defensive shell. They just hope to survive until penalty kicks. And the stadium crowd didn't even know Messi was crying at first because the screens weren't showing it.
Oh, really?
But the players on the field saw it immediately. DePaul talked about this later on a streaming show, the Olga stream.
What did he say?
He said the whole team looked over to the bench, saw Messi crying on the big screen, and something in them just snapped.
Wow.
It triggered a protective rage. They looked at each other and swore they were winning the game for him.
That's that trauma bond in action.
Completely. They played for over 40 minutes without their best player, and instead of defending, they attacked. In the 112th minute, Lautaro Martinez scores the winner.
Incredible.
They didn't win despite losing their captain. They won because they saw him hurt and flat out refused to let that be the ending to his tournament.
Which is such a rare psychological phenomenon in elite sports. And it brings us right to the edge of tomorrow's match, looking at this current 2026 World Cup run.
The stakes are they're astronomical.
The emotional stakes are off the charts.
Yeah.
And the pressure is manifesting in very public ways. Back on June 16th against Algeria in Kansas City.
Right, the group stage.
Messi scores a hat-trick. He ties Miroslav Klose's all-time men's World Cup goal record at 38 years old. It's a moment of supreme historical triumph.
A massive milestone.
But instead of celebrating, he pulls his sweat-soaked shirt up over his face and just cries on the field.
And when the press asked him about it later, he made it explicitly clear that the emotion wasn't about the soccer or the record.
What was it about?
He revealed he had been going through some very difficult, complicated days off the field.
Oh, man.
He wouldn't specify what those personal struggles were, but he publicly thanked his teammates for being by his side and giving him the strength to survive them.
That's intense.
And Alexis McAllister, another key midfielder, noted that the team's entire tactical system must be built around Messi's emotional state.
Wait, really? Tactical system built around his emotions?
Yeah, because, as he put it, when he's happy, he scores. They are consciously building a tactical formation around emotional empathy.
Which is mind-blowing. I mean, you don't hear coaches talking like that.
Yeah.
And it gets even more intense.
The Egypt game.
Yes. Just last week, on July 7th, during the round of 16 against Egypt in Atlanta, they face a near disaster. Messi misses his second penalty of the tournament.
That is a historical first, by the way. No player has ever missed 2 penalties at a single World Cup.
Never. And the team is down 2-0 with 20 minutes left. The title defense is basically dead. Missing 2 penalties is a psychological death sentence for a player's confidence.
For almost anyone else, it would be over.
But then, the team rallies around him yet again. Messi assists Romero, then Messi finds the net to score the equalizer himself, and in stoppage time, who else but Enzo Fernandez?
The kid who wrote the letter.
The kid who wrote the letter. He heads in the 3-2 winner.
The visual of the reaction at the final whistle of that Egypt game tells you everything you need to know about the current state of this team.
What did they do?
When the whistle blew, Messi didn't just celebrate a comeback. he dropped straight to the grass in the center circle, his face buried in his hands.
Just overwhelmed.
The source material described it as an ugly, folding in half, sobbing release.
Wow.
It was a mixture of overwhelming relief and pure anger at himself for putting his team in jeopardy with the missed penalty.
And he wasn't the only one crying, was he?
Not at all. Even the head coach, Lionel Scaloni, the master tactician behind this entire era, was standing on the sideline, wiping his own face, crying right next to his captain.
The coach, too.
Yeah, Scaloni even joked in the press conference later that the players tease him for being the crybaby of the group.
It's a startling image when you really picture it. You have the head coach, the fierce bodyguard, and DePaul, the kid who wrote the desperate letter a decade ago. All of these grown, elite athletes just openly in tears on the pitch.
It raises an important question, though. Why are they crying?
Right.
The tears are not for the sport of soccer. When they cry, they are crying because the man who swallowed every hit, every insult, and every defeat for 20 years to let an entire country keep dreaming is finally letting his guard down.
He's finally showing that vulnerability.
Yes. For 2 decades, he carried them. He acted as that solitary pillar holding up the skyscraper.
And
now, in the twilight of his career, he is finally letting his brothers carry him. It's an incredibly profound release of a shared burden. They are protecting the man who protected their childhood dreams.
It is truly one of the most compelling arcs in modern sports. I mean, you are looking at a 20-year cycle of pressure and release.
It's cinematic.
You have a nation's heartbreak, entirely absorbed by one man. That immense, crushing pressure birthed a generation of kids who grew up watching him suffer as fans, who eventually became his peers in the locker room.
And who essentially transformed themselves into his personal emotional shield on the pitch.
Exactly. So what does this all mean for you as a fan tuning in? As you sit down tomorrow to watch him walk out of that tunnel for his final World Cup match, you aren't just watching a football game.
Not at all.
You're watching the culmination of the greatest, most complex love story Argentine football ever wrote.
It's going to be emotional.
Very. But I want to leave you with a thought to mull over long after the final whistle blows tomorrow, regardless of whether they win or lose.
What's that?
When this current crop of intensely loyal players, Enzo, DePaul, Romero, Alvarez, when they eventually age and become the veteran leaders of Argentina,
Right, the next generation of leaders.
how will this unique, trauma-bonded leadership style reshape the entire future culture of that national team?
That's a fascinating question.
Will they demand that exact same fierce emotional devotion from the next generation of kids coming up?
Or maybe they can't.
Right? Or was this 20-year emotional debt just a once-in-a-lifetime phenomenon built perfectly around a single load-bearing pillar that is finally, after tomorrow, stepping down for good?
Something to think about.
Keep that in mind as you watch the game.